Hello everyone, welcome back to another speed build. Today I am doing a CC free build, which I'm sure you'll all be super duper excited about. This one was actually specifically requested by my little sister Molly, who has informed me that I must tell you all that she is just a fantastic human being. Well, I mean, she is. She definitely is. She's a good kid. Not really a kid. She's like 20. Is she 20? Molly, are you 20? I don't know. So yeah, definitely not a kid. But she's a good kid. So yes, I'm building a home for one of her families that she asked for. So it is a home for some Sims that she made and she was playing at the time. There was a couple. The woman was a programmer and the guy was a something. This was like a week ago, maybe even longer than a week ago. So I'm at this point, I don't remember the family really that well, but all I know is they had a cat called Watson and I almost forgot about him. Which sucks, but I did put in cat stuff towards the end. So I definitely did that in the end. But she loves this house. She's been saving up in her game to play it. So that's very exciting. But it's it's awesome. It's got 2 bedrooms and a box room, we can call it. It's got a bed in, but it's kind of one of those rooms that you could have as a bedroom, but wouldn't look out of place as like an office or something like that. I built this really weird garage area, because I forgot that there was garage doors in the game. Also, it was on a foundation, so I didn't think it would work too well. So this is the chopping board from Cool Kitchen. But I think it worked quite well, to be fair to you. So that's what we're using in place of a garage for this game. For this house. For this build. For whatever. So this living space downstairs, we've got 2 just very open rooms. That's kind of what I went for here. The kitchen is what I worked on first, and I love this kitchen. It's a really earth-toned and neutral kitchen, but I just love it. I think it worked really, really well. We used the Parenthood counters, which are some of my favorites. I really like the full-length thingy that you keep seeing me wave around. That's one of my faves. And it's a really nice set, and suits the vibe of Parenthood as well, which is really, really nice. So this, as you can see, is a very spacious kitchen. It's got room for 2 cookers, so definitely lots of cooking happening here. Got a little breakfast bar area as well, which worked out really nicely. And we do have space for a dining table at the back. So you'll be pleased to hear that they can all sit round and have a lovely meal once the family has expanded a bit. Yeah, and so we're just kind of cluttering it up now. I forgot how... it's not difficult, I don't think, to clutter kitchens in, like... Maxis with no CC. Is that the word? Just with no CC, I guess. Yeah, it's not difficult, but getting things to coordinate sometimes can be quite difficult with it, which is what I was kind of having an issue with. But here you can see we're adding the lovely dining table, lovely bit of mason jar lighting above, again from Parenthood. I really like the get-together kind of tub kind of dining seats here. I have some nice CC ones that are slightly more rounded, more kind of open, which if you've seen my foster home challenge, you'll probably have seen already. But I figured the get-together ones were a reasonable alternative there. And I really like the washing nook, the laundry nook that we've got going on the side there next to the dining area. So that was pretty much the kitchen all sorted out. I was trying to work out a way to get to a nice garden space, and it wasn't working out too well for me with the hallway. So I just kind of tucked the back door around the side, and then we have this little decking area that then goes out into a bigger patio on the ground floor. Is the ground floor right? I don't know. But that's what I said. So we're going to go with it. For some reason I was having issues with move objects at one point, so that's fun. But as we move into the living room, you will see that I've decided to do a built-in kind of cabinet area for the TV. Like a big media console, I suppose would be the right word for it. And we're using the big City Living TV. I figured that a family would be quite entertainment focused, I suppose. That's an activity that I think families do share in a lot of the time. So I figured it was a good way to get them together, and a big TV is always helpful. And I mean, it seemed as if the family that I was given to work with were somewhat nerdy to begin with. Not fully nerdy, obviously, but we did have a programmer who was a bit of a nerd. So I kind of went with that and rolled with it. Gave them a big media space so that they could sit together, watch good movies, that sort of thing. And I'm just adding in a few little collectibles here and there. Snow globes seemed like a nice little thing. Perhaps they've been traveling and they collected those while they were there. We got a lovely little cat sculpture on this cabinet area. My guess is that that's What's-It, but in like statue form. Perhaps, I don't know. And now I'm just kind of going through debug, trying to find things that worked for cluttering up the living space. I didn't imagine this couple to be pristine. Neat, fairly, I'd say. I wasn't trying to make the place look purposefully messy, but lived in was more of the vibe I was going for. And I know that my sister kind of likes that vibe too. She clutters her houses quite a bit when she builds, so I wanted to give that vibe without her needing to build the house herself. So that's kind of what I went for. So I was getting some books and stuff. I figured since there was a bookcase there, a few books there wouldn't look out of the ordinary. That lovely piece of homework wouldn't move around for some reason, so I had to put it in my Sims inventory, which was fun. But we got a headphone set there, a couple of controllers for the games console that I just put in. And I think that's pretty much the extent of the cluttering that we did for the living space. Moving on to the study nook that I decided to put in here. My instructions were that the Sims were reasonably modest and would suffice with a little study nook for the programmer sim. I just remembered what the guy does. The guy was an athlete, because she said that wouldn't need a home gym, wouldn't need a separate study, just a little nook with a computer and a punching bag somewhere in the build, and she would have been happy. So I did try and give this kind of what's the white red? Like a corner desk kind of vibe going on. It wasn't perfect at all. It looks a little bit janky, but I think I really like it. I mean, I'm a big fan of the corner desk in real life. I have a corner desk. That's my station. And I did like the idea of having the bookcases there. Almost like it was like one of those IKEA built-in desks that you see on like Calyx shelves. My mom has one of them in her craft room, and my little sister used to have one of those in her bedroom. So they are quite popular. It's quite a good system, so a lot of people use it. And that was kind of the vibe I was going for with the bookshelves. So I think that worked out quite nicely. I've stuck a little bit of a coat rack in the back of the hallway, and I've absolutely cluttered indeed the hallway once I put this litter tray and stuff in, because I couldn't forget what's it. Once I'd done that, I covered the walls in, for the time being, I covered them with the underwater photos that you could get from, believe it would be Island Living. Makes sense, yeah. Yeah, I've seen the icon now. But in my mind, they would be replaced with family photos once the family was moved in. And I think that's what my sister wants to do, so that's super exciting. Now we're moving on to the upstairs. The hallway's a bit interesting. We've got this kind of little bump in the side of it that I ended up using as a little yoga area. Now, this wasn't like specified that any of her Sims liked yoga or anything, but I was definitely advised to have a box room, and that area seemed like the only fitting place to have like a little tiny box room. So I went with yoga in this area because I felt like it was a slightly closed off area that would look quite nice with a bunch of candles on the floor and that sort of thing. And I mean, I really like it. It seems like a really nice place for any of the Sims to just like chill out and zen for a bit. We've also got a little reading nook up here with a lovely little chair. This is the Tiny Living chair. I didn't realise it had that really nice purple swatch, but that's what I went for in the end with this upstairs. We use kind of neutral colours on the walls, so it was nice to add in a little bit of colour, even though the purple was a little more neutral in tone than some purples you might get. But moving on to the bathroom, I love this bathroom. It's one of the more detailed bathrooms I've done, and it's quite small still. So I'm impressed that I managed to get in everything that I did. Using the Tiny Living toilet and the sink. The shower was from Discover University, and I decided to go with that one because, as far as I am aware, they don't get embarrassed if someone's in the room when they're using the shower, which I figured in a one bathroom house for a family, that might come in handy. So that's kind of what I went with there. And then onto the larger of the kids' bedrooms. This one I wanted to give kind of like the dream bedroom, like lots of nice colours, a big desk for studying on, cute theming throughout, nice big play area, and all that sort of stuff, and basically a big replica of the cat that I imagined what's it to be. Lots of paintings on the wall, lots of space, because I wanted it to really contrast with the apparent box room that I was told to make for the other bedroom. So I really like the way that one turned out, for sure. And as we go on to the master bedroom, I used the lovely, lovely, lovely banana leaf pattern that came in The Sims. I have extensions of that in CC form because I love that pattern so much, and I just don't understand why they didn't think to do a full-length one or anything like that, because it's just a really nice pattern, and I seem to use it in place of some of my CC like all the time, which for Max's things doesn't often happen. If I've got CC that's like wall CC or stuff like that, I'm more than likely going to use that over something that was in the game already, but the banana leaf pattern is just perfect. I've tried my best to give the bedroom another kind of lived-in feel by pulling out a bunch of debug stuff. We've got a bunch of little makeup items which I didn't realise were a thing in the game, so threw those in. And we've got a couple of glasses of water. Glasses of water are always useful. Don't want to wake up in the middle of the night with a dry throat, or in the middle of a recording, I can tell you that. The amount of times I've had to stop today because I'm not used to talking. I've been sat in lectures all day because today is my uni day. But yes, it's been kind of an odd one recording this. But we're moving on to the box room now. Now, this is actually really inspired by a house that I am very familiar with. There's a room in my grandmother's house that is very similar to this that I stayed in a fair bit as a kid. It's literally just a room with a wardrobe space a ton of shelves full of books, and they were all non-fiction books, and then just the bed. And I spent so many nights in there, and like I remember quite a few of the books that were up there. They were all like encyclopedias on nature photography sort of things, so it was really cool to kind of embody that in The Sims. So that's kind of what I did for that one. And obviously we moved on to the outdoors now. I wanted to give the family a nice space where they could eat outside, maybe in the summertime. So I've given them a barbecue and a little table with a parasol. I've also given them a lot of room to grow in this garden. I like the idea of leaving it pretty blank canvas out here, because I, at the time, didn't have any idea how many kids they'd end up having, what sort of activities they'd do. So I did a bit of landscaping. I've done like little garden patches rather than doing kind of everywhere gardening, so that we got like kind of specified spaces where the greenery is. I figured that was a nice idea. And then I kind of left a lot of it free for just growing, I suppose. That would probably be the best way to describe it. I've got some hedges going around certain spots, and then we've got these little corner pieces which are super cute, and they end up with a lot of cute plants in, and I think it's a nice way to kind of contain the landscaping a little bit. Overall, I think the build turned out really well. My sister's happy with it, which is the most important thing for sure. I've put it up on the gallery. I can't remember what I ended up naming it, but I think it's slightly different to what it is in this video here, because I wanted to give it a name reminiscent of my sister Molly, because she's the lovely requester of this house. I've also kind of asked her to chuck me a few other families or just Sims that she might want me to build stuff for, because it's a good incentive to do CC builds, and I want to try and get one of those out a week. Not CC builds, CC free builds, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm really trying to push myself into doing CC free builds at least once a week, because as much as I love CC, there's obviously a ton of people that can't use it, especially those with consoles, and people just prefer to go by the way that the game was intended to be, and that's a completely valid way to play. So I wanted to give people the option of having some of my builds if they did want them in CC free. So that's kind of what I want to do. Plus, I mean, I didn't start using CC until like I'm back. Like I didn't ever do CC builds before this, so that's pretty new to me. But I think it's nice to do a good mix. So hopefully you like this build and you've enjoyed watching the speed build. Let me know in the comments what you thought, any ideas for CC free builds you want me to try in the future. And thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time.